Good day everybody, and welcome once again to our YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. We really appreciate it. Today we have a topic before us, and the topic says plant hormones. So what are plant hormones? Like we have discussed in one of the previous classes, we talked about endocrine glands. Today we'll be looking at plant hormones. Endocrine glands, like we said, they are glands that are responsible for producing certain chemical substances in the body of animals, which are responsible for regulating certain fluctuations or processes in the body. Also, we have similar feet for what we refer to as plant hormones. So if we look at plant hormones are also chemical substances that are secreted in the part of the body of the plants, and they are secreted in specific points or specific locations in the part of the plant, and their actions are brought about, or the actions of the effect of their actions are felt in certain locations in the part of the plant. So that is what we want to talk about today, plant hormones. So if I may start, I will start this way. Plant hormones are natural occurring substances. They are naturally occurring substances or organic substances or matter, molecules rather, that can influence or either increase or decrease physiological processes. Again, I said plant hormones. Plant hormones which are also called or known as the phytohormones. Yes, that is another name for the plant hormones. They are also called phytohormones. So we need to take very, very close note of that. So whenever you come across the name plant hormones or you come across phytohormones, they are still talking about the same thing. We could use those words interchangeably. We could call them phytohormones or plant hormones. So like I said, they are naturally occurring. The plant hormones, which are also called phytohormones, are naturally occurring organic molecules. Are naturally occurring organic molecules or substances, that are secreted in the parts of the plant, substances that are secreted in minute quantities, secreted in minute or tiny quantities in certain parts of the plant. So that is what a brief summary or explanation of what plant hormones or phytohormones are. Again, I said that they are naturally occurring organic molecules or substances that are produced in tiny quantities in certain parts of the plant. Now, they are produced specifically to influence the physiological processes of the plant. They are produced to influence either positively or negatively, or I should say either an increase in the production or a decrease, either an increase in the physiological process or a decrease in the physiological process, depending on what the plant is going through at a particular point in time. So we said that they are produced to influence the physiological processes. So like I said, either positively or negatively. So they influence the parts of the plant either positively or negatively, but these are done at very very low concentrations. The particular processes, their hormones, they are produced in very low concentration so as not to harm the plant part. So they can also be referred to as chemical messengers. These phytoplanktons, again, the phytoplanktons, the phytohormones can also be referred to as, we can also call them, we can also refer to these particular substances as chemical messengers. Yes, we can call them chemical messengers because they have the ability to carry about certain processes, to coordinate certain processes or cellular activities in the body. They are referred to as chemical messengers that are capable of coordinating cellular processes or activities in the plant. Processes like, we have processes like growth, like respiration. Those are very important processes. Metabolism is another process that these particular chemical messengers are responsible for coordinating. So we said that they are chemical messengers capable of coordinating cellular processes, e.g., we have growth, we have metabolism, and this metabolism, we know that it is of two types, either anabolism or catabolism. Anabolism is the build-up phase, while catabolism is referred to as the degradative or the breakdown phase. So we've listed growth, we've listed metabolism. We can also talk about respiration. Yes, these are processes that these particular hormones help to coordinate or to regulate. So I believe we are getting what we are saying here. So now we need to understand that we have a very extensive number, or let's say large number of these phytohormones. There are a couple of number, and some of them, they have the functions of each of these hormones vary. They do not actually do the same thing. Their functions vary. So these particular hormones, they are produced, like we have said, in certain parts. This part where they are produced is what we refer to as the meristem. Meristem. So what are meristems? Meristems are referred to as growing regions. They are the growing regions. Meristems are the growing regions. The growing regions in the plant, in plant parts. Like we have the roots and the shoot tips, e.g., the roots and shoot tips. So it is at these points, at this particular meristem, that we have the production of these particular hormones. It is at this particular meristem that we have the production of these hormones. So let's make it better. Let me put it this way: meristems. So we need to understand, we need to know, let it be clear that it is at the meristem. Example, we have the shoot and the root. That is where we refer to as the meristem. It is at those regions that we refer to as the growing regions. Those are the positions where these particular phytohormones are produced. So like I told us earlier on, we have several of these hormones, so we'll be looking at a couple of these hormones. But before we go there, let us quickly see a little history as to what the intervention of hormones are, a little history to the knowledge of hormones. History of the plant hormones. History of the plant hormones. So that is what we want to look at right now. Now, the earliest form of plant hormone that was ever discovered is the auxin. The auxin happens to be the earliest plant hormone that has been discovered or that was discovered, and after the intervention, after the identification of this particular auxin, we have been able to identify some other plant hormones. In fact, there are over 9 of these hormones, and each of them have their own specific constituents, chemical structures, functions, and the rest of those. So the effects, like I said, the hormones, auxin, auxin is the first phytohormone to be discovered. Is the earliest phytohormone or plant hormone that was discovered, and since then we have had a couple of other plant hormones, and since then there's been over 9 of these hormones. Over 9 of these hormones have been identified. Over 9 of these hormones have been identified, and each of them have their own specific chemical constituents. With individual or respective chemical constituents. Chemical constituents, structure, and function. So that is about the auxin and a little about other phytohormones that have been identified. So the effect of these hormones are felt at the meristem. I have said that earlier on, and I have told us what the meristem is. So some of these hormones, yes, we need to know that some of these hormones, some of the hormones, yes, plant hormones, are actually acidic. A couple of these hormones are acidic in nature. Yes, they have the hydrogen ion or the proton in their substance, in their structure. So they are actually acidic in nature. We have a couple of them. So these that I have listed, they are the advantages or the functions of the abscisic acid. So we have talked about the auxin, we've talked about abscisic acid. Let's pick another one. The third one that we'll be talking about is going to be cytokinin. Cytokinin is the third phytohormone that we will be talking about. Cytokinin. So what are cytokinins, or what are their functions? What do cytokinins do? So that is what we want to look at right about now. So cytokinin is produced, yes, we have said that they are produced at the meristem. So this particular one is produced in the roots, the fruits, and the embryos or the endosperms. They promote cell division. That is the first function that we wrote, explaining about them. That they promote cell division and elongation. Cell division and elongation. They promote cell division and elongation. They make it possible for differentiation to take place in plants. 2, that is that they break dormancy in seeds. They break dormancy in seeds. 2, they break dormancy in seeds. So what does this mean? When we talk about seed dormancy, we're talking about inability of a particular seed to germinate. So when there is a seed and the seed is unable to germinate, we say that the seed is experiencing dormancy. So cytokinins help to inhibit this seed dormancy. That means it is going to promote growth. So whenever there is seed dormancy, it breaks that dormancy. It makes it possible for that seed to germinate. That is the function of cytokinin. We also say that it is, okay, like I said earlier on, it regulates shoot meristem size. That is another function. It regulates shoot meristem size. The size of the meristem is also being regulated by the cytokinin. That is another function of cytokinin. It helps to regulate the shoot meristem. So we understand that now as the functions of the cytokinin. Like we have said, it promotes cell division and elongation, it breaks seed dormancy, then it regulates shoot meristem size as well as leaf. Leaf and shoot growth. So these are some of the functions of cytokinin. It also stimulates the outgrowth of auxiliary buds. Also stimulates the outgrowth of auxiliary buds. So those are the functions of cytokinin. Let's pick the fourth one. The fourth one we'll be talking about is Gibbrellin. Gibbrellin is the fourth phytohormone or plant hormone that we will be talking about. So what do gibberellins do? What are the functions of gibberellin? The functions of gibberellin, Functions of gibberellin. Number 1 is that it regulates key processes of agricultural importance. Example, seed germination. It regulates key important plant processes. E.g. germination. That is one important plant process that this particular hormone functions for, gibberellin. It brings about the regulation of this particular agricultural process, plant or agricultural process. Let me use agricultural so we don't get confused here. Let me say agricultural. Important agricultural processes. agricultural processes, e.g. germination of seeds. Germination of seeds. We have root and shoot elongation as well. Also promotes root shoot elongation. Root and shoot elongation. That is another function of gibberellin. It helps in flowering and fruiting. It helps in patterning. It helps in the patterning. That is, it gives patterns to fruits and flowers. Patterning of flowers and fruits. So here are a few of the examples that we will be talking about for the functions of gibberellin, germination of seeds here. So these are the functions of gibberellin. So the fifth hormone that we'll be talking about is going to be, we have indole acetic acid. Indole acetic acid, or it can also be called indole 3-acetic acid. So for the course of this study, I'll just make it indole acetic acid. So what are the functions of indole acetic acid? You could see them writing it as IIA. You could write it as IIA. That is the acronym for indole acetic acid. Sorry, let me make this very indole acetic acid, IAA. So the functions of indole acetic acid. It is responsible for, it is one of the hormones that are found in the class of auxins. Found in the auxin class. It is found in the auxin class. So found in the auxin class. So the functions now. 1. The functions, we have regulation and developmentation, or let's say regulating, it regulates growth and developmental processes in tissue differentiation, apical dominance, as well as responsible for light. It gives response to light, gravity, and pathogens. So these are the functions of indole acetic acid: regulation of growth and developmental processes such as cell division and elongation. So first one, regulates growth and developmental processes. So those are the functions of, some of the functions of indole acetic acid. Developmental processes such as cell e.g. we have cell division. Another one is that it is responsible for apical dominance as well as response to light. It gives response to light, gravity, as well as pathogens. So these are some of the functions of the indole acetic acid. The functions of indole acetic acid. So we'll be moving on to the next one now, which is going to be the jasmonate or jasmonic acid. Number 6, we'll be having jasmonate. It is also called jasmonic acid. That is another name for it. So you could see any of these words used interchangeably. Either you call it jasmonate or jasmonic acid. It is responsible for regulating plant response to biotic stress. That is its own major function. Its own major function is to regulate plant response to biotic stress. To regulate plant response to biotic stress. That is number 1. Number 2, we have it minimizing water loss by regulating stomatal opening and closing. It regulates or minimizes, it regulates the opening and closing of the stomata. It regulates opening and closing of stomata to minimize or regulate water loss. So those are the functions of the jasmonates. The functions of the jasmonates. So the next one we shall be talking about now is going to be the salicylate. The salicylate or the salicylic acid. That's number 7. We have it to be what? The salicylate or salicylic acid. Salicylate. So that is the name of the next hormone we will be looking at. So what are the functions of this particular phytohormone? Number 1, it is responsible for signaling. So it is a signal hormone. It is a signal hormone. It is a signal hormone or molecule mediating hormone. And then it is responsible for plant immunity and growth regulation. It is responsible for plant immunity, the ability of plants to be able to resist certain pests or diseases. Is as a result of the production of this particular hormone in it, the salicylate. So it is responsible for producing its own immunity against diseases, against pest infestation, against problems that can affect the plant. So These are the functions of the salicylate. And then we have the next one. The next one that we'll be talking about now is going to be the ethylene. Ethylene is the next plant hormone or the next phytohormone that we will be discussing. Ethylene. So what is the function, or what are the functions of ethylene? Number one, the first function of ethylene that I'll be talking about is that it stimulates fruit opening. One, it stimulates fruit opening. It makes it possible for the fruit to open so as to bring about normal fruiting in the plant. And then it is responsible for determination of sex of flower. Helps to determine sex of flowers. 3. The ethylene, it is also responsible for promoting root initiation. It's responsible for promoting root initiation. It promotes root initiation. It makes it possible for the root system to start germinating, root initiation, as well as regulating numerous processes in the body of the plant simultaneously. So these are the functions of the ethylene. So the next hormone that we'll be talking about now, the next hormone that we'll be looking at right now is going to be, we have the brasinosteroid. These particular hormones are steroids. They are steroids, so their functions are felt like the normal steroids that we know. So they are steroid hormones important for plant development and growth. They are steroid hormones. Responsible. They are steroid hormones responsible for plant development and growth. Responsible for plant development and growth. Those are the functions. That is one of the functions of the brasinosteroid. Another function is that it helps to promote cell expansion and division. It also plays the role in elongation. It plays a lot in elongation. It plays a role in reproduction, and then plant growth in absence of light. So these are some of the functions of the brasinosteroid. It helps to promote cell expansion and cell division. It promotes cell expansion, and cell division. Cell expansion and cell division. Another function is, let me use this one as the third one. Number 3 is that it functions as a signaling hormone. It is a signaling hormone. It functions as a signaling hormone. It functions as a signaling hormone. So those are the functions of the brassinosteroid. And the last hormone we'll be talking about for the course of this class is going to be the strigolactones. The strigolactones. Strigolactones. That's going to be the last class or the last group of phytohormones that we'll be discussing tonight or today. So we have the functions now. The functions of the strigolactones. One, we have it regulating processes that adapt plants to nutrient availability. It helps the plant to regulate processes that adapt it to nutrient availability. So one, they regulate processes. They regulate processes that adapt plants. That adapt plants to nutrient availability. To nutrient availability. That is the first function. Okay, availability. Then number two, it aids interaction between plants. Two, it aids interaction between plants, between the plants and the microbes, between the plant and soil microbes. And then it regulates plant metabolism. Number three, it helps to regulate plant metabolism. So these are some of the some of the phytohormones that we have for us to discuss tonight, today. So please kindly go through these notes again. Go through them, try to understand what we have talked about. The notes can help as well. And if there is any comment or any question that you need to understand, if there's any question that you need to ask, you can drop them in the comment section. Always also like and share our page. Subscribe as well to our page, and we'll very much appreciate it. Thank you very much, and God bless.